Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome in. Thank you so much for being patient.
Hello!
I am glad we got the show on the road. I did not think this was going to happen. Also, I would like to just say, oh God, I hear myself.
Mari, that's just the people in the back of your head. Don't worry. It's okay.
I don't like the voices. The voices. The voices scare me.
The voices are telling you to give me all your chicken nuggies.
Honestly?
Hand them over.
No, I don't have any chicken nuggets.
Gimme!
You said... first of all, you said you were going to eat thermal paste right before we started this broadcast.
It looks like candy!
Iris, if you eat... Iris, you shouldn't be eating that.
Hang on, I have a tube of thermal paste right here. I think I might go and snack on some
Why
right
do you
now.
have just a tube of thermal paste?
Because I built a computer recently! Had to reapply my CPU's thermal paste!
Well, with that being said, hi everybody. Welcome back to the My Virtual Life podcast. This is a unique podcast I've been doing with VTubers and other virtual creators. We talk a lot about the behind the scenes on how we go about our own content creation journey. I'm here today with the lovely Iris and Yumiko.
Hi.
Wow!
And we are going to be talking about unique VTuber concepts because I'm sure you all might have realized the three of us all look kind of unique in some way, shape, or form. I am definitely not looking at Yumi's mega badon. Anyway, so...
What?
My,
Me? Badonkadonks?
my
Don't
eyes
know what
just
you're
naturally
talking
go there. I'm
about.
sorry.
They are very prominent, Yumi.
I mean, I can,
You're well endowed.
I mean, we got swimsuit outfit.
We do have
I'm
swimsuit outfit. Mm-hmm.
I'm joining from the PNG realm because VTube Studio would not cooperate.
Okay, first of all, anyone who kept making fun of me being like, oh, late again. First of all, okay,
It's my
fuck
fault.
you. No, it's not your fault. Oh, you really do
shit.
have fluffy tails, don't you?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I probably should not put those in front of your face.
I mean, there's supposed to be a way where I could, like, be in front of you, but for some reason, that doesn't want to work right now, so that's okay. I don't want to have to, step in front too much. Well, let me see. Actually, you know what, Yumi? I don't think I've seen all of your toggles and other unique transformation sequences that you can do.
You got a lot of them. Your design's really chock full of toggles.
Damn
Mhm.
right it is.
It's
I mean, hey.
impressive. And you recently debuted your new live 2D model as well. So I still haven't seen everything that you have on there.
I mean, to be fair, I'm still I'm still learning about stuff too. Like, I learned I can take my gloves off, and I didn't even realize that.
I can take off some stuff, but if I do, we might get banned on here. So, unique VTuber concepts. I feel like this is something that a lot of VTubers, I don't want to say struggle with. I feel like a lot of people in their own way are very unique when they come up with their own VTuber stuff, providing that they're not blatantly just stealing someone else's concept. But overall, I notice that a lot of people tend to struggle coming up with, okay, well, what does make me unique? What kind of helps me not teeter that line of plagiarism? And like, well, how can I actually like stand out? So I brought you two on here today because I feel like both of you have very unique VTuber concepts in like very different ways. Like, I feel like for Yumi, you have all of these different types of interesting toggles. You also are just really good at like animating yourself. Like, you have a certain way about you where I can feel a lot of the expressiveness whenever I'm watching your streams. And then for Iris, I remember we did a little bit of a workshop the other week going over like VTuber color palettes and kind of going over why certain colors just feel right and how sometimes being slightly off on some of the hex codes can kind of cause some uncomfortableness, some uncanniness. And you have such an interesting eye when it comes to like color schemes and just kind of having a good understanding of what makes something visually appealing. And so both of your concepts are unique in themselves, which means I would like to start off with Yume. Could you give us a little bit of a background on how you came up with your VTuber concept?
Speak up, Yume. Come
I
on.
broke her.
No, you didn't break me. You're just gonna be very disappointed in my answer.
What do you mean? You're telling me. I can actually show everyone Yumi's concept. Look at this. You're telling me we would be disappointed in this.
I mean, you'd be disappointed on how I came up with it.
There are no wrong answers.
Are you
Okay.
also making Sonic OC art on DeviantArt too? I mean,
No. Okay, look, I like cyberpunk. I like shorts. I like tank top. I like the idea. I like boots. I was a scene kid. So I was like, you know what? Let's throw all of that together with some cyberpunk inspiration.
okay. All right.
That's it. I didn't go on some big journey like, oh my god, I love wolves so much, so I gotta be a wolf girl, and I gotta have my design represent the inner wolf inside of me, and it's gotta be as hot and
There's
sexy
no way you
as
just made that
possible.
reference. You did not just make that reference.
In all ways but physical, Yume is a wolf.
Oh my god. I don't know why, but that reminds me of this one meme where it's like those wolf memes where they're just doing these
Is it like the Moon stuff? Do you remember Moon? I remember Moon.
I think hold on. I think I think I know what you're talking about.
Moon.
No, I don't think it's that.
Oh no! Oh wait, I forget. Not everybody was like a Tumblr girly.
I
Back
will.
in
I was a MySpace girl, thank you very much.
I'm
But
talking
no, honestly-
about this. I'll show you.
Honestly, though, for my design, though, in all honesty, that is actually really.
Oh my god, yes! Yes!
But no, in all honesty, though, I really like the colors red and blue, so I had to have that in my design. And the whole cyberpunk thing, I just really like the aesthetic of the outfit, because a lot of it is just like streetwear. And I just wanted to incorporate that into my design. And the whole prosthetic thing is the idea that, you could do so much with a prosthetic, and I love technology, so having technology on the body and just kind of, brings things together. And then being a mercenary for the character, I'm like, we gotta have some tats up in here. We gotta have tattoos, and it's gotta have this whole wolf dragon kind of feeling, kind of go Yakuza theme with it a little bit.
Actually, I think we talked about that a little bit with the cyber aesthetics with it as well. Because I remember you were saying how it's really hard to incorporate cyber without it being the stereotypical what's it called? Was it cyberpunk or I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, there's cyberpunk, and then there's sci-fi, and there's part of the issue is sci-fi is a lot cleaner, more sterile compared to cyberpunk. And so if you give it too much of a clean look, it's gonna probably look more sci-fi than cyberpunk. Whereas if you go and for example, if I take my freaking jacket off, you'll actually see that my prosthetic is not exactly all that clean. It's definitely high tech, but you still see there's a wire coming down, and it's a little bit more blocky, unlike what you would see in sci-fi.
Yes, I definitely that makes a lot of sense. Oh, okay, all right. So even though you say it is kind of like an amalgamation of all this different stuff, I think there's I think that is important because you don't want your concept to just be one thing.
Yep.
Actually, Iris, I think you could comment a bit about that. When you're designing VTuber models, because if you didn't all know, Iris has been designing a lot of VTuber concepts. When you're picking out stuff for designs, how do you go about finding inspiration or creating a mood board so it's not just this one thing?
For me, at the very least, I'm a big fashion girly. Like, I'm a very big fashion girly. So a lot of it comes from, I do a lot of brand research, and then I go out of my way to do like a lot of digging on, like, you know, what suits this person's style. I actually sit down very frequently, and when I am making a concept, I'll go through and find like design inspiration from like fits people post, or like digging through like older, I very much like older styles.
Mm.
So a lot of what I do is kind of inspired by older fashion styles that I personally really like. I also just kind of focus too on, since I think that VTubing is such a personal thing, I really focus in on the fact that like each VTuber kind of has to mirror the personality of the person behind them. So a lot of it is also, you know, finding a way to match that person's vibes.
Oh, it is such a personal thing. I think that's something that, like, maybe when it comes to VTuber designs, which, by the way, I have Iris's concept art up here on screen. In fact, I actually like you when you post your work in progress, because you always come up with so many cute hairstyles and outfits, and it's just it gives me, it does give me low-key Tumblr girly vibes, but I love it anyways.
I am forever Tumblr girly. I will never escape this fate. I'm just kind of stuck there.
No, I
But
like
yeah.
it though. It is kind of a personal thing, because I feel like with, like, you know, maybe that's why some people get so attached to their concepts, because it is a personal way to express yourself. Like, I'm both of you play VR chat, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know how, like, in VR chat, people are really connected to their model, even if like 20 of them have the same booth base. But they're attached to their model. Like, that feels like them. And I think with VTubing, the reason why so many people they find it attractive is because they can be themselves, but anime.
Yeah, and I think the process of it's just really fascinating, because it does wind up being like one of the first things I ask people when I go to design is I start off with like, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you like. Did I cut out again? Did I leave again?
No. I'm just sitting there because that is like the worst question to ever ask
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself.
That doesn't work. Do you want a 100-page essay?
Yes.
I usually
Actually,
do,
Iris
like-
would be the kind of person that would want that.
Dude, for real though. Like,
Oh
Iris
more
reads
details-
lore, okay? She does.
the more Mari has been subject to my commission process for designs, which is legitimately like
Speaking
a
of
million
which-
messages. billion messages of, hey bestie, what do you think about this slight color change? What do you think about this silhouette? Does this make you feel happy? What's a little detail that I could add here? What do you like? It's like a constant flow.
I remember when we were trying to decide if I should have like thigh highs or like if I should even have socks, and then we came up with this where we just decided to go with like the fishnets and then the little the dolly type socks or princess socks.
Yeah. Little ruffle socks. I love
Yeah.
ruffle socks. They're so cute.
And
I
like,
have to ask with the fishnet.
yeah,
Is it made out of wire or is it made out of cloth?
it
What?
is actually made out of, you know, like when you buy those soda cans and it has like the plastic like things that attaches them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually made out of that because I'm trying to save the turtles, so I turned them into fishnets.
Damn, and here I was hoping that they would have been made out of metal so I could use it as a grill.
Ecologically conscious.
I don't know. Like, I remember when we came up with this design. Yeah, we did like a whole aesthetics board, which I have never done in my entire life. And I remember picking Yumi's brain about this too when I was trying to figure out like what kind of aesthetic to like really go down, because I feel like I probably represent the majority of other VTubers where we like an amalgamation of so many different aesthetics, but sometimes it doesn't go well together.
Yeah.
I need to be a cat girl dragon demon succubus with 6 tails and the personality of a fox with tits that are bigger than the rest of the screen, and it's just gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna be somehow a super cutesy ooh-woo gremlin.
But I
Yumi, you have
sound
no
like a
idea
mommy.
Yumi, you have no idea how accurate that is to some of the
I
people
know
I've
it
worked
is. I know how accurate it is.
It's tough though, because if you think about it, I think because VTubing is so personal, it is a very personal thing for a lot of people. It's a way for them to creatively express themselves. They want to do all of the things without really knowing what stands out, because this is something that I've noticed a lot of people struggle with is they want to express themselves, but they also want to run a business and make money off of this. And I feel like those two things don't quite mix that well. You have to have like a fine balance between those two.
They're super antithetical to each other because big thing of like VTubing is you have to kind of balance your personal ability with like your marketability, and that translates into design work. Like you have to be able to market your design through just visual language. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with because it's kind of really difficult to bring those two things together if you're not like experienced with it, I guess.
Okay, so actually going on with that, how Iris, what the fuck are you doing?
Sorry, I had something in my hair.
Oh, that's what that is. It's a brush. I was like, what are you scraping?
I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was gonna be that loud. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I thought you sat down on a beanbag.
No,
I didn't know it was gonna be that loud. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I was like, Iris, we're supposed to be doing like the bodies after stream. Like you can't blow the cover. No, I'm just kidding.
I already talked about him last stream.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. For anyone who hasn't, if you join the membership, you can join the workshop that Iris and I had done where it talks about some let's just say it involves blood. But anyways, going on back to the whole like trying to balance out between being, you said, personable and marketable. I want to talk about personality and how like concept, like having a unique concept can really say a lot about your personality and how it needs to complement your personality. This is a hot topic for VTuber concepts because I've seen on the internets how personality, you know, sure, like you need to have a personality, but as long as you have a hot model and like a good looking model, then it doesn't matter. And then there's other sides of the spectrum where it says like, no, your personality is what carries the design. So I'm curious like to hear your thoughts on like personality when it comes to unique VTuber concepts.
Ooh, that is a very, very, very good question.
I could tell Yumi really has something to say. I could like see it on her face. She's got something to say about it.
You got that anticipation. Go on. Pop off, girly. What you got?
When it comes down to VTuber concepts and like their personality and all that, where do you even begin? Where do you even start to unpack that? Where do you start to unpack that is a question. Like,
how about we start off with like, how about you describe your personality in relation to like your design? Like, do you think like your design complements your personality, or do you think like your personality kind of enhances the design?
For me, when I think about Yumi's design, my design, it honestly does encapsulate everything about my personality. Because, like, from my wild, chaotic energy, my unhingedness, you get that in the hairstyle. Like, even if I were to go and put my hair up, you can see it's not exactly, like, well kept as, like, a freaking ponytail. It's just kind of wild and already there.
Oh.
You see the fact that I don't even bother to put the jacket all the way up on one shoulder. There's like a carefreeness there to the whole design. Like every little bit of the design really speaks to some part of my personality. And it's a lot of it comes down to a whole, this is just like, it's an expression of who you are. And I've talked about this so much in my own time, about personality and design, because honestly, your design, if it doesn't match your personality, it's gonna create a dissonance to other people, and all of a sudden people are just gonna get this weird feeling of like, who is this? Why does this seem weird? Like imagine right now, Mari, if me and you were to swap models, like how weird that would feel for people to hear your voice and your personality come out of my model, and for me to use your model and my voice to come out of your model.
I was trying to mimic your words. I'm gonna make an edit of that later. All right. I could imagine just me being like, how would that even work? I'd be like, shoot, I can't burp. I was gonna do it. I was gonna be like, that's how I would try to do. That's how
we devolved you down into burps.
That's how I would do it, though.
Yeah. But that's the other thing, though, too, is like also with the design, the color really mattered a lot to me, because I personally like a lot more vibrant colors because of the energeticness that comes from the colors. And one of the things, part of the reason why I went more with a tan that's a little bit of a contrast to what you see on my rep sheet is because, like, when you look at the original skin tone, the skin tone kind of looks way too of a cool pale.
Oh, and I remember we had that conversation.
Yeah, it's like, you know, sure, it's pale, but it's like such a cool pale. It clashes with the vibrancy and the vividness of everything else, which is why if you just throw in a little bit of extra color into the skin, it all of a sudden fits a lot better. And especially with a tomboy personality, I'm actually someone who does touch grass. So I'm not going to just sit there and be like, oh, well, let me just sit there and be inside and be pale as fuck. No, I touch grass. I fucking touch grass.
I think this kind of chimes in, just jumping off of the member stream that we had the other night. This does kind of chime in where we talked about the like intricacies of like color energy. Because color energy is a really important part of making a design pop, because the like saturation and brightness of a color can really indicate the like person behind its like general outlook. You can have like the most energetic model in the world. It looks bright, it looks colorful, it looks like it's gonna have somebody who's gonna be like super, you know, like you, Yumi. But if you have somebody who's just talking like this and then they don't want to do anything, or they're super low energy, the model doesn't match. It does not match up with the person's like point of view.
That brings me to my old design where a lot of people really like dreamy Mari. Like a lot of people just love how she looks, but unfortunately, from, you know, after hanging out with both you two, I think you both can attest that I actually don't fit that design. I'm way too energetic. I do have like my low energy days when I'm by myself, and if I had just woken up in the morning and just took my medication, then I am kind of sleepy. But overall, I'm just way too chaotic and like energetic for this design, and I really love this design so much. Like it's like it's one of those memes where it's like how I view myself versus how I really am.
I mean, when I look at that, it really does depend on who you surround yourself with, though, too, because they're like, if you're around more chill people, you will look more like the dreamy Mari, and your personality will be more like the dreamy Mari. But if you're around more chaotic people, it's gonna be more towards the other side with the pink hair and the darker colors, because that's just how you are.
Chat
you
hates this version. They cannot stand this version. This one's got boobs.
I kind of like it though.
This one's got boobs. They don't like that.
I think you're like it.
I mean, you know what? If that was in VR, I'd totally motorboat it. I'd
People
totally
said
motorboat
that this looks like my older sister, and I'm like, oh. Okay.
You have an older sister? Can you introduce me sometime? You know, I'd love to get to know her on a more personal level.
She'll only talk to you if you have money.
Oh, really? How much money does she need?
We can talk about that after stream. I'm just kidding.
We're setting up a date later.
Hell yeah!
At least for like on my end, when it came to like making my own design, I had to really kind of sit down and figure out like what colors am I? Like you really do have to just think like what color am I? What is the color that I could like most associate with like me? And I was like, I really like pinks and blues. But like I wanted to do something that was a little bit more, I guess, like muted so it wasn't super loud, if that makes sense.
You have a bit of this like pixel
Yeah.
effect with you too, because in a way, if I was completely stupid and I saw yours and Yumi's design, I'd be like, wow, they're both cyber, but not really, because like, yes, you both have digital elements to your designs, but there is a clear distinction where one is full on like more kind of like what you said, like the tomboy cyber, but also like your tattoos give that Yakuza type of vibe. Whereas for Iris is much more like, I always want to use the word girly pop. That's not the right word, but it's what comes to mind. But like, you've got a little USB type of tail. Like you literally look like something that would come in like my little pocket, like my little hard drive that I would just plug in.
Do you want to know the biggest inspiration for my design? One of my big ones?
Sure, yeah.
Chobits.
Ah, I could see it.
Now that you're saying it, I can see that a lot, actually.
Honestly,
I took a lot of inspiration from Persicoms. I think they're really cool. I think they're neat.
honestly, the one thing about your design, Iris, I want to say is when it comes down to the colors, I always think the pink and the blue, like a more pastel pink and blue color, is really difficult to use. Because, like, you know, a lot of people do associate those colors with being trans, for example. And so, like, you could accidentally, you know, like, if you're not trans, you might accidentally, you know, draw in a crowd that gets the wrong idea if you're not trans, you know?
I mean, joke's on them. I'm non-binary, so.
That's fair, but, like, it is... I have seen quite a few designs though where they use those exact colors, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, their character's transcode and they must be trans when the person's not actually trans.
That's actually a great point, because I am something I wanted to ask you too was like, okay, when it comes to like concepts and stuff, I had no idea that could be interpreted that way. So if I was trying to like come up with my design, like how am I supposed to know that kind of stuff if like I'm not constantly online, like looking at that type of community? So I'm curious, like when people are coming up with like their concepts and stuff, I can foresee certain design elements, certain color choices completely backfiring, and VTubers are just getting harassed for something that they had zero idea about. And like, I'm not saying like you two need to give me an answer about this stuff, but it's an interesting observation that I've seen, because I have seen that happen. And it's fascinating how like, when you're coming up with a concept, you two can either like agree or disagree, but I feel like, once you're testing out designs and you're getting feedback from the community, if you are noticing that your community is interpreting your concept a certain way, as particularly a way that you don't want it to be interpreted, I personally believe like that means you should do some kind of design change or some kind of element change. And I don't know how you two feel about that.
Honestly, actually with my current design right now, it incorporates something I was actually very afraid of people actually having an issue with because of that comparison, even though it was an idea that I had for a character back when I was making D&D campaigns. And that's the beast mode toggle on my model, because like if you actually look at my model, like if it's zoomed out and everything, you know, I was worried that maybe people would throw a fit and compare me to another VTuber out there that also has furry arms and legs.
Yeah.
And I was like super worried about that, because I was like, oh no, it's like people getting really heated over this. Are people gonna get upset at me for having, you know, having my model like this? Are they gonna get upset? Is this gonna cause issues? Like, what am I gonna do about this? Is it like, you know,
That's a valid fear, I think, because like I said, if you have like zero idea, or again, you what's it called? You had this since D&D, so it's kind of it's a lot to ask to make somebody change their design when if your intention was not to copy something, or if it was representing an actual like identity. It's not like you did that with intention. And so Iris, like, what are your thoughts about that kind of stuff when like, because I know you have to think about these things since this is part of like your own professional career and everything, but even with your own design, how did you like make it so that way when people are looking at your color palette, they're not assuming that is what this means?
A lot of what I do comes down to I keep in mind a lot of things, and I think honestly it also comes down a little bit to the person designing the VTuber to know and understand those things. Like it comes down to you have to have the knowledge of the community, you have to have the knowledge of this like overarching design elements that might, you know, come off as wrong, might come off as copying, stealing. You have to have that in mind when you're doing it. When I made my model, I took a lot of time to sit down and really parse out like, what have I seen before? What haven't I seen before? What works? What doesn't work? For me, I really wanted to lean into subculture fashion. I really wanted to lean into pixels because I had never seen. I've seen like pixel VTubers who are just pixel art VTubers, but I'd never seen a blend of the two. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have pixels now. So I incorporated all kinds of little pixel details in, and it came down to when I was choosing my color palette, I kind of made it a little bit intentional because I really like this like cotton candy pink blue, but also, you know, it comes down to stuff like, you know, gender identity and stuff like that. And it is very intentional on my end at the very least. And I think that it takes a good designer to understand the boundary line between like where that like line of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's, you know, gonna fly well, what's not gonna fly well. It takes a lot to like actually sit there on that line and be like, here's how we can experiment, here's how we can pull back.
Honestly, you know, and I really like that you did that with the pixels too, because a lot of times people go with like the pixel thing because it makes them like feel like they have like the whole AI direction or like a cyber design. So like trying to mix them together is really cool, actually.
Yeah, I really liked doing it. It's fun.
I'm actually curious. So, how do you feel that? How do you feel about color influencing the personality? Because I know we're still kind of talking about like, okay, design elements, aesthetics, all of this can kind of like articulate your personality in a certain way. But I'd like to touch a little bit more about color because I know for at least when we were coming up with my new concept with you, Iris, I remember us talking about how because my personality is such high energy and low energy and how I have that kind of special blend, when we decided on my color palette, I remember you had specified how you did put some red, which is such a super, like, you know, like you have so much red, which has this fiery, like, energetic personality. But for when Iris, you had said, like, you gave me a touch of red to kind of, like, symbolize, I think that's the word, symbolize a little bit of that chaotic nature.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to, when we talked about color theory, we talked a little bit about kind of accent colors and how they can kind of help tie a design together. For instance, like if we look at Yume, I'll take Yume for example here. Yume has an accent color that I would put as that really bright cyan blue. That bright cyan blue is kind of an accent color that runs through the design, but isn't like a main focus of the design. Her main color is red. She has a little bit of purple in there as well, but that blue is a very vibrant, bright, saturated blue that is going to be a blue that's going to catch your eye. a lot of Yumi's color blending leans up towards the top of the model, which draws your eyes up to the face, especially with those goggles. Those goggles are a great eye catcher. And then also when you like take a look around, her body has these details that kind of lend themselves to breaking up shape. And all of her color palette works in tandem together to help break up that shape and give her a very recognizable silhouette, as well as like a readable design that doesn't get lost in itself.
I see what you mean with like the the accent colors with the cyan blue. And you know what? Now I am looking at like the skin tone, and I think Yumi, you had mentioned like this is like a cooler skin tone, which is why with all these warm colors, and I didn't notice it until you pointed it out to me, but that's where like the uncanniness comes in, and that's so fascinating to me.
That is absolutely a thing, because when you look at, when you have colors being associated with each other, you don't want to have actually a perfect example is the difficulties of people dyeing their hair blonde.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a difference. Yeah, because there's a difference between someone having a platinum blonde versus having a strawberry blonde. And one of those is going to look better on someone than the other, depending on if they have a more warmer skin tone or a cooler skin tone. Because if you like have a warmer skin tone, you go with platinum blonde, that's just going to clash really badly, because it's two different tones coming together, and it's just like, bro, what are you, a mid-30s woman trying to figure out if she's having a midlife crisis or not? Like,
I get it. That makes sense. Maybe like when it comes to like all of these design aspects, I never realized how much of these accent colors and these little design choices can affect the psychology of how people perceive you, because you might view yourself and your VTuber concept one way, and then you find out everyone else views you differently. Like, I think going through my own designs personally, I realized that people perceived me to be a lot younger than how I had seen my model. And this was something that I had struggled with for a really long time. And now with like the new concept that Iris had helped me come up with, I feel like I look more age appropriate for how I want to be perceived. So that was a personal struggle that I had to face with. In terms of for both of you, what were some design struggles that you've had when trying to come up with like your own concept? Because I know, Yumi, you've been through a couple different alterations of yourself.
Difficulties with design. Honestly, I think honestly, this current design was probably the one design where I had the most issues. Because before, previous designs, I didn't really have too much of an issue coming up with. But with with this current design, trying to actually incorporate different ideas, different concepts like tomboy and the whole cyberpunk thing, putting the two of those together and actually communicating what are actually relatively complex concepts in a design that, will just click with someone is very difficult versus, a design that's more D&D inspired. It's a lot easier to just be like, oh, that's a wizard. Oh, that's a witch. Oh, that's a paladin. But with cyberpunk, it's streetwear. So how do you communicate with streetwear what's a cyberpunk design? How do you communicate what a tomboy looks like when a tomboy comes in so many different flavors? And so actually coming up with that kind of stuff, you kind of just have to like look at what people see as tropes, look at how, you see that stuff in real life and in media and stuff, and kind of come together with something that's going to come and work well. Because, you could be like a freaking girly girl cyberpunk person, and unironically, Iris's design could work with that with a little bit of tweaking, but that doesn't mean it's gonna fit very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so okay, Iris. So let's go over to like for your stuff then. What was like some of the struggles you had when coming up with your own concepts?
I have been through, I guess at this point, 7 different designs. All of them pretty similar, but with different changes to them. A lot of it came down to my biggest struggle was actually finding, like, on a personal level, what felt right for me. Like, I had to like dig deep, and I was like, I had to figure out what is me, because I used to have a very darker, like, cyberpunky sort of vibe. I just felt like it wasn't fitting. Like, I didn't feel like it fit me well, but I kept doing it because I was like, I don't want to be girly. I can't be girly. Like, I feel like if I'm girly, it just doesn't work. And then I sat down one day in my last model. I was like, I want a dress. So I did my design, I made a dress, and it felt like home. It felt comfortable, I guess.
Oh, hell
A lot
yeah.
of-
Let's go.
Yeah. So a lot of it came down to, it really came down to just trying to understand my own personality and to find a style that felt right for me. That's why I settled on what I usually wear in my day-to-day life, which is Jiraike. I'm a Jiraike girly. I'm a Jirai in, like, IRL. So I was like, I gotta fucking find a way to make myself feel as comfortable in my model as I do in my own skin. And then I had the issue of, there's a million demon VTubers. There are hundreds of thousands of us. This is a legion.
There's a lot of
They are
cackle
legion.
VTubers too.
But it is so hard to distinguish yourself when you have a similar concept. So, like,
yeah.
That actually does. I do have actually a really good question for you, then, Iris.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that, does like dress code rules make it a lot more difficult to help, like, with making a character stand out, especially when designing them?
I guess, yeah, it can. You have to keep in mind, like, especially keeping in mind, like, what platforms are working, especially right now with everything going on. You really do have to keep an eagle eye out on those artistic standards for models, because if not, you kind of risk your client maybe accidentally getting banded.
It's
for
not that
what
hard to
they're
put a
doing.
safe for work like toggle like
It's
on
not.
though.
But what about if your artwork's styled and you have to figure out, like, what's where does the waist end and the hips begin, for example, on a stylized model?
I mean, all of that really just depends on the style itself.
But it is subjective though too.
Yeah, it is very subjective, so you kind of have to toe that line.
Yeah.
From what I've understood from especially Twitch's guidelines, YouTube, weirdly enough, is way more lenient.
Lenient? I know.
They're so lenient. But
They just don't like music. That's the only
Yeah,
thing that YouTube
that's
doesn't
it.
like is music.
Hot Tub Stream on YouTube!
Woo! When you come down to it and you really break it down, when you're stylizing a model and you have a really stylized model, it comes down to understanding the anatomy of that model more than anything. And each individual artist, each individual designer will have should have a pretty good grasp on their own anatomy to be able to tell exactly where those bits are located on that model to kind of help cover them. And then they also have those, I've been seeing these crop up lately, I don't know if you guys have either, but those like live 2D items that are like modesty hoodies.
Oh, I
that you
love
can
those.
tie
I
around
see
your
the
waist.
chastity belt one.
Yeah,
That was
Oh
funny.
my fucking god!
I love it.
Oh my god!
It's so funny. I love it. And honestly, like, here's the thing, right? I actually use I use a model asset every once in a while for like I play Samurai Remnant every once in a while, and I use this really cute little kimono asset, and it's like an entire outfit swap, and they make those, like you can find those if you need to like cover up. There's options out there for you to cover up without having to buy a new model in the interim. Like you have options. You can figure something out while you wait.
You know, what's like one thing that you wish someone told you when you first started VTubing, like with like your designs, design wise? I know for me, it was I remember when I first started getting into VTubing, I remember like looking into it, and someone had told me to just copy whatever is big and popular, like just copy the biggest popular VTuber at that time and you'll do fine.
God.
And so for me, that was Nanners, and I think we all know what happened there with that one. So yeah, I really wish whoever told me that can kindly delete their internet presence, but like I just wish someone had told me how important it is to not copy people. Yeah, so that was mine.
Mine would probably be to stop rushing. And I think this is an issue that a lot of new VTubers run into. You do not need to rush getting your model out. You do not need to rush getting started. Take your time. If you start out with a really rush job, you can slowly climb over time, but take your time, savor the journey. Like, don't rush into a big project and then, like, in my case, I was doing all the like art and rigging myself, but if you run into that project and you spend a whole ton of money going super duper fast because you've just decided that you need to, or it's expected of you, you're really just gonna hit a wall.
But Iris,
you're gonna
I
be
need to become
unhappy.
famous and relevant and stay viral. I gotta do what's popular.
I'm gonna get the squirt bottle for bad decisions.
Okay, but what about like when people talk about because I know I've said this in my own videos before where I've said, okay, like you can be inspired by other people, but I think there's a line between like inspiration versus, can you really plagiarize when it comes to concept art? Like, how does that work?
I mean, yeah. I
So
think
how does
we've
that
seen
work,
it
though?
recently. If I'm being completely honest, I think the majority of it comes from people pulling a bunch of stuff together and being like, oh, I really like this design. I want that, but me. And then they don't really give the artist direction. So the artist has to go off what they have, and then they kind of wind up stuck with a model or design that is essentially plagiarized.
You know, okay, how many of you have, okay, I don't know if you've ever had a friend like this, but I've definitely read some Reddit posts about this in the past where there will be like two girls, right? Like they're friends, and one girl will have like a certain type of fashion and aesthetic, and then the other girl will just start copying their entire fashion, like all the way to the wardrobe, to the hair color, the hairstyle. And it's like, no one, people think that's kind of weird and like whatever, but no one ever gets canceled for that, right? But for VTuber concepts, if you be doing that, you're gonna be getting into some potential legal troubles, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think the like borderline like reason why we take it a lot more seriously is because it's not even just like as simple as changing your hair, changing your design. It really like winds up coming down to you're taking somebody's like brand. It's less of a like it can be a very personal thing, but a lot of the times it actually winds up being like you are piggybacking off of somebody else's brand, which takes away from their money, takes away from their funds, takes away from their ability to be recognizable. It winds up being a branding issue more than anything.
Branding issue, that's actually interesting. So you mean in terms of like branding issue, actually have you had any branding issues with your new design? Because you said earlier you were kind of worried about people like potentially comparing you to another VTuber. So have you seen like any issues with your brand design because of this?
Honestly, I don't think I have seen any issues with it. It was more of the worry I had was because of the other person that actually was getting compared to someone else because it was a blatant copy and paste.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a thing I was just worried about, is like people would think I was like copying and pasting them, when in reality I wasn't. That was like the only real concern that I had. But having, actually studied like character design and brand design, it was something I was very confident going into with like designing this version, that like, hey, I know what I want. I know I have a clear direction. This is where I want to go. So I don't think I actually had any worries about that, actually.
No, that's good because, yeah, I feel like, unfortunately, I am the most basic VTuber concept that can ever happen. I am a beautiful, amazing cat girl, but I realize there's not a lot of black cat VTubers. That doesn't, like, really exist. The most I've seen is there will be a black-haired VTuber that has a cat toggle, but that's not, like, their thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a silly little fun toggle because everyone likes cat girls. And I realized, like, yeah, there are a lot of cat girls, but there's not, like, a black cat. Like, that's not really a thing. And specifically, I'm going out for the cracked out looking black cat. Like, have you seen those cat memes? Let me pull one up, all right? Like,
oh my god. I mean, I will say that my previous designs did have a little bit of a communication issue.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a lot of people would come in and see my previous designs back when I was branded as like a cat girl, and people would see it and they would think, oh, are you a fox or are you a wolf?
Oh, that's actually a great, that's a good conversation. So, you mean design element wise, how did you like overcome that? Because like even right now, like the way I see you and stuff, like how are people not seeing you as like a wolf or a cat or
So a lot of it comes down to the elements. Like, for example, it's actually perfect that you have cat ears on your model, because cat ears, as you see there, typically when they're drawn, they tend to be a lot more horizontal with the head, and they tend to be a lot more, softer and rounder. Whereas with fox and wolf ears, they tend to be a lot more jagged, a lot more pointed. And so as a result, a wolf and a fox, like even if you are trying to be like a more chaotic and energetic individual, it doesn't matter if your ears are more on that chaotic side and you try to be a cat. The problem is that there's a design association with certain shapes that go and correlate with, that's a fox, that's a wolf, that's a cat. Because like the only difference between like wolf and fox ears is that fox ears tend to be a way longer than
they're kind of slender
wolf
too,
ears.
aren't they?
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting because I think the only thing more difficult of a design choice to actually get across than a cat is a panda as a VTuber design.
Panda!
Yeah.
I don't see that many panda VTubers. I know they exist, but I don't see that many panda VTubers or bear VTubers, like teddy bear or plushy bear or grizzly bear.
It's because like the ears are so similar to like cat ears that you could easily mistake them if you're not used to like seeing the nuance and the difference there, But it's a lot easier to tell the difference even between like a dog ear. Dog ears are just very floppy, so that's easy.
Unless if it depends what type of breed, because you got the golden retriever breeds, you got the corgi breeds, you got I think husky seems to be more popular for like dog VTubers. I don't know if I'm getting my breeds right.
But husky's difficult because that's kind of getting a lot closer to the wolf side of things than the dog side of things. So you might actually get mistaken as a wolf more than a dog.
That's kind of interesting to think about. Like I think You know what? I'm just gonna say it. Fuck all the people who are able to get their designs straight off the bat and know what they want to be, have that shit down to a T. You know what? I hate all of you. Because I've had to do so many reiterations for my concept. Like, Iris, I've been on the same plane as you with having to constantly just redo my design because it's like what Yumi says. Like, people just kept interpreting my design. Even though I didn't think it was this way, I had to come to the hard realization that how I interpret it, unless if I just want to do this as a hobby and just make this a little personal OC thing, I have to kind of be more in tune with how the community and the environment views my persona, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I have a take on why you guys probably have issues with that.
All right, tell me.
What's up?
Okay. I think the reason, and I don't think this just extends to YouTube, but I could say with confidence that a majority of VTubers actually have issues with going back to the drawing board so much with their design because they are so used to having other people tell them how they think that they should be personality-wise, and so they never really get a chance to know themselves because they're always trying to change themselves to please whatever the largest crowd is that they can. And so as a result, they end up straying from who they actually are and end up being something that they're not. And it only takes being isolated away from that for enough time to actually realize, like, oh, hey, that's what you actually are. This is who I actually am. And for those that are not used to actually knowing that or don't have confidence in themselves, for someone that is confident and does get it right on the first try, there could be a little bit of jealousy. There could be a little bit of like a, holy fuck, how the hell did you get away with that? No, you can't have that. You're not allowed to get it right on the first try.
That's my pink hair. I'm sorry.
Because here's the thing. Like, the very first design of Yumi being a tavern maid, sure, her personality was a lot more on the girly side, and that was because I was trying to shove down my tomboy side, my personality that was a tomboy, because I was afraid that would be a bad thing because of the way people were around me. I got the design right mostly for my personality, because I was still trying to stay true to myself for the most part. But it wasn't until I actually took a step back and decided I need to just live for myself and be myself authentically that I actually finally figured out what Yumi myself is and how to represent myself best in a design. And I think a lot of people just go through a lot of designs because they don't really know who they are, because they let everyone else dictate who they are just to try and not feel alone.
Oh my god, Tavern Yumi. This was when you were a broke ass bitch back then. I'm just kidding. I remember Tavern Yumi. It's interesting that you say that too, because like, I actually really like Tavern Yumi's design. I do like your design now, but I do like Tavern Yumi. But the thing is, it doesn't really, it's not Yumi. I just like the design, if that makes sense. At least that's how I saw it.
It was a different time because it was trying to like play the whole innocent card and everything, but it's not like, that's not going to be interesting after a while, especially if there's a dissonance within yourself. Because like, that's the thing is like, I've noticed like so many people I've met, whether it was in VTubing or some other industry, a lot of times they just straight up don't know themselves, and it's really hard to connect with them when they don't, because like, you don't know if you're gonna upset them or strike a nerve, because you actually can see beneath that layer that they have on, that mask, and when you see below that can make a lot of people feel insecure.
Sorry, Iris, I think I cut you off. I think you were gonna say something.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say, like, yeah, I understand like exactly what you're saying there. It does make sense. I think a lot of people wind up having that disconnected, especially when you're looking at like designs. I feel like people often default to what they think is going to be the most pleasing for everybody else without actually sitting down and figuring out what's good for them. That's the big thing that I think is like the big takeaway from that.
Yeah.
I also think that there's like, for me at the very least, like one of my biggest struggles was I had somebody in my life who made me feel like all of my designs were expendable, I guess. So every time I made a new design, something would happen, and then I'd be like, well, I guess I gotta scrap that. And it kind of led into like a weird spiral where I would just keep redesigning myself every time it happened.
Oh my god, you had your own version of the girl that stole your clothes.
I still have my own version of that.
But oh my god.
Here nor there.
That's the thing that kind of sucks about, like, you know, trying to, like, make an OC and, like, a persona. Because there are, like, some people, right, who with VTubers, they're like, okay, my VTuber is me, and if you do or say anything about my VTuber design, you are actually literally insulting me.
Oh god, god. Honestly, okay, I need to ask something here real quick to people, to both of you.
Yeah.
If you have a ref sheet for your VTuber design and it is out there, it's publicly out there. Is it okay for you to actually comment on said design because it is publicly out there and form your own opinion and actually talk about it?
That is the same equivalence of, like, this is hard because I'm a YouTuber, so I have a very YouTube mindset with this compared to, like, an artist mindset. Because the way I see it is, if you do not want someone to comment about something, about whether it is your art, your singing, your drawing, your videos, whatever it is, I don't know, your shoes, don't post it public. Every content creator knows this, and I don't know, like, that's how I feel it. But I don't know, Iris, you might have a different perspective since you are more in tune with, like, the art industry.
I mean, in a way, I think that it's important to understand that you have constructive criticism, and going with constructive criticism will always make your work better. I know that sounds, for some people, that might sound like a bad thing, but, like, when you get designs and you get people who are talking about your design, it's often a really good idea to listen to what they're saying, because if they don't like the design and they can point out an actual design flaw, that gives you the, like, chance to remedy that when you go to take care of that, like, when you do a new model or you do a new design. There is a very distinct border between having that design aspect be like something that people just comment on and then you fix it later on, and then it being like out and out somebody just talking shit to talk shit.
That is the very fine line, though, is like, what's the difference between someone just bullying and insulting you and, like, just talking shit versus, like, I really just don't like this, like, thing. Like, for example, I know for my design, like, way back in the day, way back in my early VTubing career, people thought that my pajamas, because I had a baby doll, they thought my baby doll was a swimsuit. And they thought my entire outfit was a swimsuit, and I had, like, a little plushie, that made me look like a lot younger, because just for the fact that I was holding a plushie, and when you hold a plushie, it automatically makes you appear younger. And then the swimsuit, and I was like, oh. And I had that design for a long time, and I used to get really upset because I'd be like, why are people being so mean? And then I had to sit there and, like, think to myself, wait, there is some confusion going on with my design. In fact, I think we had a conversation about this, Yume, about like the plushie.
No, we did.
You're the one who told me about this.
Actually, you know, if it's okay, I'd like to pull up the very first live 2D model I had.
Yeah, if you want to send it to me, I can show it up on screen.
Oh, I wish I had
I could just pull it up right now and switch over to it if you want.
Go for it.
Because because the thing is, when I got that model, it took a month, but once I actually asked my community about what the issue was with it, the problem was they actually said they didn't particularly care for it because and I will quote it literally word for word. Uh-oh.
I'm changing my model now too. Everyone, we're all swapping
Fair.
our models.
They
Oh,
literally,
man.
literally word for word, straight up said that this looked like someone who worked 60 hours a week at a Walmart and wanted to shoot themselves.
What the fuck? Okay. You know, I could kind of see it. I'm sorry. I could kind of see it. I'm so sorry. God dang you, your tail's in my face.
Oh,
Woman,
and the
Dang
tail,
it,
like,
Yumi.
you know, if you saw the way it got rigged, it was, I mean, Mari, I showed you how it got rigged. I showed you
Yeah,
how
you
it
did.
got
I'm not-
rigged.
I'm not
wish I
happy
could
with
show
it,
you.
but
I wish
that's
I could
besides the
show you
point.
my old. I wish I could show you my old model. Maybe I can get VTube Studio to cooperate for just a moment.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to cause issues.
A brief second. I'm gonna try.
I
I'm gonna
might-
try.
If you
Okay,
do, I might
Walmart
have to
tip.
redo the collab because I don't have
Damn
you
it.
added on here.
I wish there was a way for me to do this so I could show. I could post a screenshot, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you
Here,
can do that.
let me. Where are you? Is it you? Is it you? Are you my baby? Ah,
what the fuck?
This is the oldest model I have, actually. Hold up. So I don't have my OG model. Oh, I gotta get rid of this picture of Goat Man on my clipboard.
Go. Okay. All right. Well, while you're trying to grab that, okay. While Iris is trying to show us her original concept, I wanted to point out about the whole criticism thing. I've told both of you girlies how I've been going through my own mental health journey this year because I've been kind of going really downhill with like my mental health, and it's been affecting my work performance a lot. And one of the things that I had to work on was this concept of criticism.
Yeah.
Because I am one of the type of people that has a difficult time differentiating if someone is actually insulting me personally versus trying to give me genuine feedback. And today I want to celebrate this one little win that I had because I've been working on a website for a client, and I had like a customer complain to the client saying how like there was a post that wasn't exactly cropped correctly, so the aspect ratio of like the photo was kind of chopped off. Now, old Mari would have taken that very personally and been like, oh, they're just being a piece of shit, and like, oh, they're just being like, whatever, like, get over it.
Yeah.
Mari now realizes, oh, okay, you know, oh, that's such a silly thing to comment on, but okay, that tells me I got to fix the aspect ratio, because if that's the first thing that they notice and they're complaining about, clearly that drew a lot of attention, so I should probably, you know, fix up this photo. And I'm like, yay, I did it. I finally did. You know, I'm not taking criticism so harshly anymore.
honestly, you know, hearing that, it actually does make me a little nervous to actually offer advice in criticisms that's like constructive, because I feel like so many people don't really know how to take criticism well. I'm afraid that I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to make people uncomfortable or have people, you know, get upset. And just because I point out that, like, hey, you know, maybe this could do, you know, maybe you could do this just like a little bit better. Or maybe this could improve the way, like, you want to communicate this. Like, I want to try and help people, but God, is it so hard to find the right way to word things, because everyone seems to be so sensitive to a point. I don't even know what's safe or not. And that's actually a really big stress point for me when it comes to talking
are they
about
asking you for feedback though?
Sometimes people do ask me for feedback, and it's like it can be stressful. But other times, like, you know, like I remember there was one person who approached me, asking me about like what I thought about their design for their model. And this person had a history of being really sensitive, and I was like, oh God, I feel trapped. Do I say, like, you know, if this looks good, or do I sit here and actually tell them, like, hey, you know, this looks good for the most part, but maybe you could do this, and this to make it stand out a little bit more.
So they
And
were
I'm
looking
just
for
like,
validation.
and I feel like a lot of VTubers, that's what they're looking for, is they're looking for validation, not criticism to help improve, you know?
Well, speaking of first designs, not to
Ooh,
change course too
hello.
much. This was
is one of
No, that's
my
good.
old ones. Not my oldest one. I've actually lost a lot of my old model files, but this is the oldest one that I have.
I don't know why, but your hair
Oh.
reminds me of like suburban mom. I don't know how
Your
else-
hair makes me think of a Pokemon trainer.
I could also see that
I do
too.
like that.
I like it though, but that's the thing. It's just like, but it doesn't seem like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it does not feel like me.
You know, I look at this and I'm like, I could actually see the bits of iris in there.
It's the heart
But I
and
can
the
tell-
blue window for me personally, and the belt little.
For me, I look at the design and it's like I see
Blue
just like
window.
overall in general, I see elements of the personality there, but it seems like it literally looks like someone who is still trying to discover themselves and is like getting closer to figuring out who they actually are. That's what the design says to me.
Mm-hmm. How's my like first, and then I put the other two out of order. So the next one would be the one with the.
Here, let me. Oh, wow. Okay, all right, hold on. I'm pulling them up on screen. Wow, this is a huge difference. Like, okay.
Holy shit. That
And this one kind of gives me circus vibes.
just needs an afro on it.
Yes. This one,
Afro circus, Afro circus.
I see where you're trying to get the Chobits inspiration. I do see it with the
I do
ears.
see that.
But this one does
Yeah.
remind me of a wind-up doll.
It
A
also
little bit,
kind of
yeah.
reminds me of Genshin with the way they do their horns for the demons in Genshin.
Well, I like Oni horns a little bit, and then I switched back to like a more traditional horn where like it's coming out of the side of my head instead of like right on the forehead.
I like
'Cause I
how big
also
the
found-
Ahoge is. I really
Yeah.
like it.
I also found it was just incredibly difficult to rig forehead horns.
Oh god, I could imagine how difficult that would be.
It was so painful to do, so I just kind of gave up and I was like, we're not doing that anymore. This is going on the sides of my head.
Imagine ruining a design element because it's too difficult to rig. I love that.
I actually love the idea of Oni horns because it presents a very interesting challenge with hairstyles due to the fact that you have the horns there making it hard to actually put the hair into like most shapes that you would see without them. And I love that as a challenge, actually.
It is a challenge. It's a challenge that I am no longer embarking on.
Yeah, I can see like compared to the design that you have now, like the way you have designed yourself. I can see like the journey between trying to like find yourself and like what really represents you.
Yeah. And I could definitely say that one that looked more like the circus one, you could definitely see in there like that journey, and you can actually see that like you feel a little vulnerable, a little exposed, and like kind of scared and nervous there with the way it looks. Like you're still trying to figure yourself out, and you're like scared that people aren't gonna like you for you.
I was really scared to get away from my old design. Like, I was legitimately scared. I was like, if I stray too far away, I'm not going to be recognizable, and they're not going to recognize me. It's going to...
Girl, retweet. I know how I felt that way, too, when I was swapping color palettes. Like, just swapping color palettes was enough to, like, cause me down in a spiral, because nothing hurts more when you finally decide on a design and you're happy with it, and then people say, I liked your old concept better.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I dreaded that. I was like, if I change my design too awful much, if I go girly after being this like cyberpunk, glowy creature, it's gonna throw people off. But I was really surprised by how welcoming my community actually was to actually like embracing it.
Actually, that does bring up an interesting question. Is there a difference between someone liking an older design over a new design versus someone just preferring it because that's what they saw as like the representation of your personality, and it's like hard to imagine that, you know, something else could represent your personality.
I had that issue. I actually ran a poll. I can show you all like the results of this poll. I had asked my community on my main YouTube channel, the one that you're all watching right now for this, where I had asked them, out of all of my designs, which one was your favorite? And they had, the results will surprise you. The fact that we have Nightmare Mari has the highest votes, mind you, 2.6k votes. Dreamy Mari came in second, Pink Mari was third, and then Blonde Mari was last. And here's the thing. I knew Blonde Mari was going to be last because I rarely, this is when, before I became a VTuber, I was Blonde Mari. Pink Mari, as you all know, was my beginnings. But then I really pushed Dreamy Mari. When I first had my own original VTuber concept, I really pushed the dreamy type of concept, the dreamy cat girl. I pushed that for years. And then this year, actually a couple months ago, I decided to really be myself and do the nightmare concept. And the comments on here were very interesting as well. I won't read all of them, but some of them were saying how like, they always knew me as Dreamy Mari, but they really like Nightmare Mari. Like that fits my personality better. It fits my energy better. The color scheme is just so much more like concise. It pops out. The glasses, and I was surprised to see that Pink Mari was no longer the popular choice, because for years I constantly heard people saying how they miss Pink Mari. They like Pink Mari. They like the pink woman so much better than who I am now. And that would hurt me a lot because it made me feel like I'm losing my relevancy. I'm losing my fandom. I'm losing my viewers. I'm losing so much because I'm trying to like find myself as Dreamy Mari. And then like now that I have a concept that genuinely fits me, the nightmare concept, no one seems to be complaining about that at all anymore. And I think it's because maybe Dreamy Mari just wasn't the right concept, and so they didn't like the change, and change is scary, so they clung on to the concept that kind of represented me better. That was a lot.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because like, you know, it's scary when you have to shift between like, you know, different designs, and you feel like you've built up so much, and then people tell you like, hey, this seems like a better representation of you than this other design. Like, yeah, that's terrifying. But like at the same time, if you reframe it in a different way, it'd be like, actually, instead of to be like, wait, I'm throwing all this away, why not instead reframe it as like, but wait, why do they feel like this represents me more? What is it about my personality that looks like it's represented better in this design over another design? When
That's such a great way to look at it, Yumi. That is such an amazing, like, I love your perspective on things, because this is something that I really wish more, not just VTubers, but content creators could start to adapt and adopt, like, because that is just such a great mindset. That's such a wonderful way to like view it. Instead of being so offended, you use it as a learning experience.
Yeah, don't be like you know, hey, you know, it's so easy to judge and blame others so quickly for things. But if you actually take a moment to actually think like, hey, why are they actually looking at this? Why is this potentially an issue? All of a sudden, you open yourself up to actually seeing things from other people's perspective. And then you actually start learning more, not just about yourself, but about others too.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know what? There's something that I want to talk about with both of you. I remember you and I had this conversation a long time ago, but I'm curious to think about your opinions on this, Iris. Charm points. For anyone who's listening and you don't know what charm points are, it's not that far off in terms of like how Yumi was describing herself as a tomboy, cyberpunk. You said you're on the wolf side, right? Like that's,
yes.
Okay, so tomboy, wolf, and cyberpunk. And like I remember when we were talking about charm points and how charm points is one of those types of things that's like your main selling point. It is literally what people tend to remember you by. It's like, kind of like your sales pitch, so to say, but in terms of your personality and design. And Yumi, when you were coming up with your charm points, I remember we had a conversation about this. What were the ones that you settled on? Because you had like a couple words that you were trying to describe yourself, and then you're like, those are too vague and generic. So I was curious if you could talk to us about that.
Honestly, oh god, I don't really remember that conversation well.
I'm just forgettable now to you. Okay.
No, honestly, for me, it's so hard to say like what would be considered a charm point design wise, because for me, to me, I see like the two main charm points is the design overall and the personality, because like if you look at it, like, sure, maybe you could point at, like, you know, the heart on top of my head as a charm point, or the ears, or the boob window, or the jacket, or the cybernetic armor, whatever, you know? But, like, why would those things be a charm point? What is it that's actually a charm point about that? Like, if the overall design is pleasing, then that in of itself makes it a charm point. And then if you want someone to really remember you, your personality is what really matters most, in my opinion. And so, like, for me, like, if I sit there and you give me 3 seconds, I can literally sit there and make a memorable impression on you, versus if I just have you focus entirely on my chest or a specific part of my hair or something, you know? Like, sure, the chest is there. That could definitely be considered an appeal and a charm point, but, you know, I think it's hard to just say that there's just one particularly identifiable charm point on the design. The only other thing I could actually say is maybe the closest to a charm point is the expressiveness of the model, but even then, that comes down to being able to puppeteer the model well, rather than just it being expressive by default, you know?
Mhm.
How about you, Iris? How do you like view charm points and stuff when it comes to your VTuber persona, or like your concept?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have no idea what my own charm points are, and I have had such a hard time trying to discern them that I have given up at this point.
Honestly, to me, your charm point is that eye that has the black sclera on it.
It might be it. I don't know. I can do it for all my babies. Like, I can look at my babies and be like, "That's your charm point. That's your charm point. Oh yeah, I really like this part of your design. That's your charm point." And then I look at myself and I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I definitely agree with you, me, in terms of like it's your eye, and then also I want to add on to it with the pixelized horns and wings.
The pixely bits are pretty neat. I was workshopping that when I was doing this design. I think I was throwing stuff at Tessa, actually. And I was like, "What do you think of pixels?" Tessa was like, "Run with it." And I'm like, "Okay."
I
And
think
I'm
that
really
is a
glad I
huge
did.
charm point for you, though, because like you're right. When I see pixel VTubers, they're normally all pixelated. You are the only VTuber I have ever seen that does an alchemation, like a juicy blend of the two, and I think that is a charm point of yours. And you're the only person who I've seen it, so it's like I always think of you whenever I think of that.
No.
I do know for Iris, when she was making my design, I believe we said my glasses were a huge charm point, because I am kind of snarky with my knowledge sometimes.
I would
And-
not get snarky from the glasses. I get, oh, that's a mommy.
Okay, you know why, Yumi?
I can
That's
get
good feedback.
snarky from it, because I can picture Yumi, like, Yume doing, like, Mari doing a little fucking, like, push up with the side of her hand and the glint, like the like actually I can see it in my head. Actually.
Like, it
go
just
fuck
looks
yourself.
like the Dommy mommy that's ready
Actually.
to give you steppies. That's what it looks like to
It's
me.
the shoes. It's the shoes.
It's the shoes.
The
It's-
shoes.
I'm not
It's
even
the
looking at
shoes.
the shoes.
I got the
I'm not even
stuffy
looking
shoes.
at the shoes. I'm just looking at the glasses, and the glasses literally make me think, oh, who's gonna be a good little sub for me? That's right, you are. That's what it looks like to me.
All right, Iris, it's back to the drawing board. Yumi's got some good feedback for us.
All right, boss.
But that's interesting that that's how you interpret it, because those are things that, like, again, until the concept is revealed, you kind of have to see how people interpret it. Like, I've seen some people saying teacher, I've seen people say librarian, and that's valid. It's interesting to hear the comments back about it.
You know what? I think this actually comes down to a factor we can never account for. And that's people's own personal experiences. Like, for me, a lot of times when I see that style and design of glasses, it's usually associated with more mature characters that tend to have a more motherly vibe and a more dominant type of personality. Whereas for some other people, they may actually see that, and because of their experiences with it, they may actually see it as a more snarky character trait because of the way that it's looked at, you know?
True.
That is something I would like to say is, like, you know, there are a lot of things that we don't have control over here, and one of it is how people perceive us. The only things that we do have control over is how we react to those perceptions, how like our own feelings are, and our own actions, like what we're gonna do about it. Because you're right, like, it is hard to predict how someone else is going to view your concept or anything that you do, because it's based off of their own personal experiences, their own upbringing. And, like, I feel like when it comes to, like, VTubers and the VTubing culture, I've been studying this scene for a long time, and one of the things that I really dislike about the VTuber community is this element of trying to control other people's perspectives and feelings, and trying to, like, manipulate people's thoughts because it hurts your feelings. Like, that is something that I've never, like, been comfortable with, and unfortunately I can't control that other than to just help spread my own, like, perspective shifting. Like, how we're talking about today about, instead of taking things so personally, one suggestion would be to be looking at it as feedback, because obviously we can't control people. Like, anyone who's going to get offended by the things we talk about tonight, they're going to get offended. All we can do
Mari.
is just suggest. Yeah.
Hey, Mari.
Yes.
I perceive you.
All right, and that means asking. Dang, I honestly thought you were gonna, like, come up with something like, you know what I don't like about this community, Mari? You. I thought that's what you were gonna say. I was like, oh, here we go. Oh God. Well, all right. Well, how about this? What do you think people could improve on, like, for VTubers specifically? What do you think VTubers could improve on in regards to character creation? Like, any tips or advice that you would want to give to either your younger self or another VTuber? I know there's a lot of things that we could potentially
Give me a
do.
second. Give me a second. I'm gonna get up for this.
Oh,
I'm gonna
God.
get up for this.
Oh. Yumi's about to use her full chest.
Oh God, she's fully. Oh God, she's.
Don't overcomplicate it. Less is more.
I don't think I could say it any better, Yumi.
I literally ran across the room to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I'll think of something else to add then, I guess. At least on my end, I guess my advice to any new VTubers starting out is Just be yourself, you goober.
Hmm.
Don't do stuff because you look at it and you see everybody else doing it and go, I have to hop on that trend right now. Don't do it. Don't just be yourself. If that's not something you want to do, don't do it. You don't have to play the newest game that comes out the day of launch just because every other big VTuber is going to be doing it. You don't. Just be yourself. People are going to naturally come to see you more than they are going to come to see some pixels on a screen. You are the main attraction. You make whatever you're doing the best thing that, you can do. So
As
don't
long as it's
worry
not
about
on
it.
Twitch.
As long as it's not.
As long as you don't have hips, all right? We
We
don't like
But, like,
hips on here.
here's the thing. You want to say that people are gonna come for you? Try that with Twitch's lack of discovery algorithm. People aren't coming for you. They're pushing collabs.
I think my dad would come back for much more readily than Twitch would with their algorithm, all right? And that's
Hey,
saying
yo,
something.
he came back with the milk.
Yeah, right. I'm still looking for him. But that besides the point. Well, ladies, I don't want to keep you here all night. I'm sure unfortunately, Iris with her thermal paste.
Hey, I have one more. I have one more tip for people.
What's your tip, Yumi?
What's my tip? What is my tip?
Yeah, Yumi.
Unless you're goddamn freaking interesting, don't try to be a cat girl. There's 1,000,001 of them. So if you're gonna be a cat girl, don't be generic cat girl number 721. Be an actually interesting cat girl. Holy shit!
If you're gonna join the Pink Demon Club, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty nice in here, actually. You can come in if you want.
Honestly.
The Pink Demon Club's pretty cool.
Saris, go back to being a freaking tentacle Neko. I'm gonna fucking eat you out later, okay? So you're not generic. You're anything but generic. Now get in my belly, goddammit!
Yeah, honestly, I think that is going to be the thing that haunts me later tonight in my dreams, and I'm going to take it out on my chat now. Thank you for that. All right, with that being said, I had an amazing conversation with both Yumi and Iris today. Please check them out. I have their handles linked into the description of this video. If you're watching this on Twitch, you can literally click on their names on the title. And yes, any parting words? What are you two going to be up to for this week? Any streams? Any new games?
I am playing something a little bit different. Tomorrow, for anybody interested, I am actually playing my favorite otome game on stream, which is going to be embarrassing for everybody, mostly myself. So if you want to come watch me play Diabolic Lovers, which is commercially panned as one of the least favorite otome games of the English otome community, come by, enjoy it. I'm playing my least favorite route. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
Nice. I like it. All right, Yumi, what are you gonna be up to?
Yeah, what you got plans for, Yums?
I have
sweating?
plans.
Why you sweating? Why you sweaty? Put your tongue back in your mouth.
Put your tongue back in your mouth.
Okay. So I'm planning on this week playing Evil Within 2 with my favorite monster that I've given him the loving name called Cumbercules.
That doesn't surprise me in the least bit. Sometimes I'll watch your stream when I'm meal prepping, and that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me either. That makes sense.
Hang on. I have...
Are you giving us a visual representation of Cumbercules?
Yes. Because it's an actual enemy, it's an actual little mini boss fight. It is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Can I show you?
No, I mean, you can.
I think I can.
Yeah.
I think I can show this.
You can show it.
It's just sticky.
Bro, why is he so sticky? What the hell is that? What is that? What the hell? What the hell is that? What is that? He looks like cum.
He's just here to have a good time. He had a really good time.
No.
That's why he's like that. He had a really good time.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I please check out these two wonderful individuals. As you can tell, they are all sorts of balls of fun.
I am balls.
I'm not a ball of fun. I'm a trapezoid of fun.
You
I am
have two
balls?
big balls on your chest, okay?
I'm a You know what? No. I am the reverse Lara Croft. I am a trapezoid with two balls on my chest instead of being a regular person with triangles on my chest.
Mhm,
I've actually seen a cosplay of somebody with the Lara Croft one with the actual triangular
Me
tits.
too.
Yeah, I think we've seen the same photo. All right. Thank you.
Also,
Yes,
one last thing.
of course.
You gotta stick your skibbity giot out for the Rizzler so that everyone can goon max to you in Ohio.
I'm
with that
gooning.
Phantom
I'm
Packs.
gooning. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like the oldest person alive right now. I'm not hip with your lingo, kids.
Oh my. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. Thank you, everyone, for watching
welcome.
tonight.
And Iris, you may not be hip, but you sure as hell got some nice hips.
Hey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, bestie.
You're welcome, bestie. Now let's go. Let me spin your mouth and make out with you.
Whoa, bestie.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. And remember, everything reminds you of something. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Yumi, I'm gonna bonk your tits right